I'm 27 female, with 8 kids. Some bio, some adopted, some soon-to-be stepkids. All long stories. I'm engaged to 28 male. My sister is 30, does not have kids, nor does she want them. Same for her husband. Due to the kids, my maternal grandparents left me their home when they passed, which was 6 bedrooms and some cash, while my sister just got cash. Paternal grandparents left me and my kids about 80% of their estate, while my sister, parents, and uncle split the remaining 20% between them. Our parents passed in 2018. Our relationship was bad enough that I didn't even know they passed until my uncle told me after. I knew things were strained, but I didn't know our relationship was that bad. This pushed me to reach out to my sister and ask if we could be friends again, which she agreed to, and we've been back in touch since 2018. I received about $2,000 from our parents, and my sister told me that our parents were in a lot of debt when they passed. So once that was paid off, me, her, and my uncle had gotten a third each of what was left. I was fine with that and didn't pry further, as I didn't need the money and I believed my sister. As the house is 6 bedrooms and I have 8 kids, I've had to create more space, which I did by building an annex and a studio. The former is attached to the house and the latter is separate. The studio was completed 4 months ago. 3 months ago, my sister told me that she and her husband lost their jobs March last year, have been living off inheritance since, had nothing left, and were at risk of eviction. I said they could stay in the studio. I have problems with my sister's husband, so living in close quarters has not been easy. But I felt guilty about her potentially being homeless when I inherited a home. I refused to take any money off them because they had no money and told me they were job seeking. I talked to my uncle last week and I mentioned that my sister and brother-in-law were staying here until they got back on their feet. And my uncle was shocked, saying the last time they talked, my sister and brother-in-law were talking about buying a house and had never mentioned any issues with work. I interrogated him a little, and it turns out that I got just over $2,000 from my parents, as did my uncle. But my sister got well over $200,000, and there was no debt that took the rest out. I'm not mad about the lying. I don't want any of the money. But I've let them live for free in my studio for a few months now, not charging them a penny, including them in our meals, sharing my home, putting up with their BS, and they had hundreds of thousands in the bank the entire time. What should I do now? How do I react to this without completely blowing up my relationship with my sister? I get not wanting to ruin your relationship. Being completely honest is best. I was talking to Uncle the other day and he said you inherited around $200,000 from Mom and Dad and were planning on buying a house soon. That's so great. You didn't tell me you were looking. This is the best approach in my opinion. It implies I know you lied to me, and starting the conversation off positively like that will avoid a blow-up. Then you lead them into, why lie about something like that? And start talking to them about the move. See if you can help with the legwork for it to get them out of your home if that's something you're open to. This seems like it would be the best approach for what your end goals are. You need to evict them. They committed fraud by lying to you about their financial problems in exchange for free rent. So the verbal contract you guys made is null and void. You need the space for your own family, so kick the scammers out. Update. I spoke to my sister Saturday night. I asked about her savings and she said it wasn't my business. I said that I've been paying for her and her husband for 3 months because she told me they were penniless, and she's had $200,000 tucked away this whole time. Then I would say I do have a right to know. She admitted that she got over $200,000 from our parents, not $2,000, and she and her husband still have their jobs. And they worked out that if they can just collect their salaries and not spend for a year, they can buy a house outright. She said, as I got a house, me doing this would even things up. I said my fiance and I have been scrambling to cover everything, and I couldn't believe she would be so selfish. But she maintained that this was the least I could do. She also said they already had $270,000, so it might not even be a year, and that as I start a new job in a couple months, I could afford it. I said from today, Monday, she was either paying rent or leaving. Shortly after that, brother-in-law started banging on my door, swearing, calling me names, demanding I come outside. Fiance went out and brother-in-law punched him. Fiance hit back and we had to split them up. My sister and brother-in-law went to a hotel. I call a solicitor on Sunday, confirmed they're excluded occupiers. meaning they only need a reasonable amount of notice, and brother-in-law punching my fiancé in front of our kids makes 24 hours reasonable. They're picking up their stuff today, and fiancé has already changed the lock. I'm assuming my relationship with my sister is going to go back to non-existent after this, and I don't really know how I feel about that. But it'll be a relief to not have to put up with, pay for them anymore. Over the past few days, my boyfriend and I have gone through a whirlwind of confusion and stress. Basically, his sister and her husband are 30 years old, but act like irresponsible teenagers. They house-hopped for over a year and took advantage of everyone they could. They lived off of everyone else's income until they were kicked out. They finally got into an apartment after my boyfriend's mother swooped in and gave them hundreds to pay their rent and deposit. She's been paying their rent for 3 months now. She also just gave them $1,000. They have still not tried to get jobs yet, getting an eviction notice. They have 2 days to vacate or pay $2,500. My boyfriend and I love his sister. She's a great person, we thought, and we understand she's going through terrible times right now. But my boyfriend and I also know that she isn't doing anything to change it. Neither is her husband. Anyways, my boyfriend was very close with his sister. I was also close with her, and she has been rooting for us since I first met her. He's also close with her husband, but me not so much. We got along and I liked him since he was around pretty often. We just found out that her husband has been cheating and not trying to make money to support them and their 3 kids. So he's officially a deadbeat, and my boyfriend and I don't give a duck what happens to him at this point. If she stays with him, that's their business, but he isn't welcome in our apartment. Honestly, neither is his sister, because of everything that's happened. We're just worried for his 3 nephews who live with him. So remember how I said they owed $2,500 or they had to leave? A few days ago, she called my boyfriend and told him to come over as soon as possible. Honestly, they've been struggling for so long that it isn't uncommon for them to ask for money. $25 every now and then, sometimes every day. If they start asking for money every day, then we just stop answering and let them figure it out elsewhere. So we go to her apartment and I start playing with my boyfriend's nephews. There are 2 kids and an infant. My boyfriend's sister pulls him into another room to talk. She left for a few minutes and my boyfriend called me in and quickly told me what they were talking about, since I wasn't welcome in the room while they were talking. Should have been a red flag from the beginning. Long story short, she asked my boyfriend for all $1,500 of our savings. At that point, we didn't even pay our deposits and rent yet. We got approved and we're handling all that on Tuesday, and for the meantime, we're staying at his brother's down the street. So if we gave it to her, we'd be out of a place to live and an approved apartment. There's no way this apartment would agree to us trying to push back the payments for a month and a half. She told my boyfriend she'll pay us back in 5 to 6 weeks. Yeah, right. She showed my boyfriend the eviction notices from the leasing office, and it's true. She owes $2,500. She has the $1,000 from his mom. I was eventually welcomed into the room, and her husband joined as well. I didn't say much because my answer was immediately no, and I will never change my mind on that. But they did a great job of guilt-tripping us. We really believed that they were struggling and they loved us and really needed our help. My boyfriend told them we'd think about it, and we left. We went back to his brother's house and asked for his opinion. Suddenly, we realized how badly they just manipulated us. We were basically brainwashed into believing they had no other options and we were their only hope. How did we forget that they've been jobless for a year? How did we forget that they've been mooching off of the whole family for a year? Also, if we didn't hear his brother's opinion, my boyfriend probably would have been able to come to a conclusion. His brother let them live in his apartment for 3 months. He blew through $6,000 worth of savings because they were in here without the intention of leaving. We texted her later that night and told her basically that we can't afford it and that we can't put our personal plans back to save her. We offered to help her find a new apartment with the $1,000 she has. She ignored us. It's been 24 hours. But before we said no, she wanted to talk to us so bad, right? She loved us and appreciated us so much, right? She didn't say one thing to us. We now realize that they only care about money and being lazy. They're entitled and selfish. Of course, we'll still talk to them, but we won't be offering any help at all. They got themselves in this situation. They can get themselves out of it. The whole family has been enabling this behavior. which isn't actually doing them any favors. Well done for putting your foot down. It's sweet that you tried to help them and empathize with them. But yeah, gotta draw the line under that and make them take some responsibility. It's easy to fill your days when you're not working, even without 3 kids, and the months roll by. But they need a metaphorical kick in the butt to jolt them into some job hunting action. Well done. So, my ex left me for another man. We were both struggling financially and living with her mom at the time. She actually moved out with this guy and I lived with her mom for a while. I was devastated. We had been together for 8 years and it seemed to come out of nowhere. She basically blamed the entire breakup on me. I had lost my career after a bad injury and things had gone south financially over the last 2 years for me. She said I was a poor provider, couldn't even afford a running car, had no education, and she couldn't see herself with someone like me. Shortly before she left, I had gotten a decent office job and was starting to get back on my feet. But this guy who traded Bitcoin and drove for Uber was apparently the better option. After this, I met a woman at my work, 28 then, 33 now, who was going through a divorce, and we quickly became best friends. Over time, things progressed to more, and this year we decided to elope. Because weddings aren't her thing, and we agreed the money could be used for a lot of things we would both enjoy. She is my biggest cheerleader, always hyping me up, and I do the same for her. I ended up being pretty good at that decent job, and this year hit a lifetime goal of breaking 6 figures. We had bought a house together. I got a new SUV. She had her own very nice car that she paid off herself. She has her own business and does a lot to take care of the home so I can focus on my own career demands and keep growing there. Life could not be more perfect. So, about 6 months after the marriage, I run into the ex's mom. She's always wonderful to me and had always told me her daughter was a moron for throwing away a good thing. She asked how I was, and I told her I was still at the same company, was going well, married, and we had bought a house. She was very happy for me. She told me my ex had moved home a few years ago after Bitcoin Boy and her got evicted from their apartment, and then Bitcoin Boy left her. A few weeks later, X sends me an email asking how I was, saying that she feels horrible about how things ended, said she knew how wrong she was and wanted to get together to catch up. I told her I appreciated the apology, I was doing well, had recently gotten married. I told her I hoped she was doing well, but I didn't want to continue contact with her. After I sent that, I blocked her. Then I got a message from her on Facebook, new account, talking about how it is a shame that I am so immature and how sad it was I would just throw away the friendship we have over a breakup. She mentioned how we had always talked about marriage and kids when things got better for us, but obviously I was just a liar. Anyways, I asked her to stop contacting me and blocked her there too. I kept my wife in the loop through all this, and because she is my amazing wife, she told me to do what I feel is right, but this chick seems unhinged and I should just keep blocking her. I now constantly have younger models sending me messages and friend requests non-stop online. It is almost laughable at this point, but why won't she just leave me alone now? I feel like I have found so much happiness in life, and she is trying to come back around and destroy that. I really wasn't bad to her. It's been over 5 years. She is in her 40s. What the duck? She realized she made a mistake and now wants to weasel her way back into your life. Nope. I have no sympathy. Keep blocking her. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my mom's service dog at my wedding? I know it sounds bad, but let me explain. My mom and I do not have the best of relationships, but she is my mother, so she is invited to our big day. My mom recently got a 2-month-old puppy, will be 3 months on our wedding day, that she used an online site to be her service dog. I am against fake service dogs and the issues that people who have real service dogs and medical alert dogs face because of people getting these fake designations. This puppy is now her emotional support animal, and she asked if the venue would be okay with her bringing her puppy to the wedding. Every time I tried to tell her no, she would interrupt me, going on and on about how well trained this puppy is, how it will stay in her lap, how the venue can't deny her she has all the paperwork, on and on, not letting me say anything. I talked to my fiance after I hung up with my mom, and we both agree that it is not appropriate to bring a puppy to the wedding, and we don't want to have the ceremony interrupted by barking or any other things that could arise from her pet. My mom has never trained any dog she has previously had. has never been a good pet owner keeping up with medical needs, gets rid of pets once she is tired of them. So I know that in the 1 month she has had this puppy, there is no way that it is trained and would be as well behaved as she claims. Even when we were on the phone, Mom was complaining at the dog for jumping on her and playing. I do want to say we are having a very informal event. Children are welcome, with special things planned for them. And if anyone has a medical alert or assistance dog, they would be welcome with open arms. My issue is just with my mom's online registered emotional support puppy that I am certain is not trained. I sent my mom a text apologizing but stating that we do not feel comfortable with pets being at the wedding. There will be too many people, lots of kids, lots of food and dancing, music, and too much going on. She is now not responding to us, and I am sure I have upset her. So I want to know, am I the a-hole or a bridezilla about this? You're not in the wrong, OP. This isn't a service dog. Emotional support is completely different than service animals. Not the a-hole. In what world is a 3-month-old puppy a service animal of any kind? Unless that service is chewing slippers and peeing on your carpet.